Hello and welcome to this News 9 special ahead of the second Ashes test between England and Australia. It's going to be a day-night affair. Now, Australia, they're leading the series by 1-0 margin after a resounding win in Brisbane. There were tremendous performances from Marnus Labuschagne, Travis Head, David Warner, Pat Cummins, but Australia will be missing Joe Hazlewood, who has a brilliant record in day-night tests in Adelaide, which is going to start tomorrow, the Adelaide test. To discuss that and more, I have with me my colleague Nikhil Narayan. Nikhil, day-night test, Australia has a massive record. I know you have some brilliant stats with you. You know, just before we go into the statistics and all those records, could you just give our viewers a brief idea about like why day-night tests are tough for the batters? You know, all the twilight zone, the bowling. The ball's character, it changes. So, Nikhil, you know, if you could give us a brief idea.
So the main difference between a normal test match and a day and night test match, Abhishek, is the ball, obviously, right?
Right.
A pink ball is used. The shine on the pink ball, takes more time to go away. So therefore, it swings and seams for a longer period of time. Therefore, it helps the bowlers more. And therefore, if you see the average duration of day and night tests, they tend to finish within 3.5 to 4 days,
right,
which is, less than the average duration of a normal test match. Since the time the first day and night test match was played, which is 215, if you compare the average duration of normal test matches with day and night test matches, then day and night test matches finish in a shorter span of time.
Right.
Also, this twilight zone thing is very interesting. The ball seems to do more, swing and seam more, just when the sun sets and the lights come on. And in that period of time, a lot of wickets tend to fall, the batsman's concentration goes down, and therefore that's a very tricky period for the batsman, the twilight period.
But because this Kookaburra ball, its character has changed, there's extra layer. Do you think that that's going to be play a big part? Because pink ball generally it shines more. It's hard for the batters. Mind you, the last time India played a pink ball test, the match finished in just 2 days. And England was the team that lost the match in just 2 days. So this ball, it's really special. There's extra lacquer on the ball. There's extra shine. Of course, I mean, both the teams, though Australia, they will be without Joe Hazlewood, they have the likes of Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins. England, they are bringing back, most probably bringing back, almost 90% bringing back James Anderson and Stuart Bird. So, that character change of Kookaburra with that extra plastic layer that they are using it for this Ashes, do you think that's going to have an effect?
That will add, to the batsman's misery, because as it is, a pink ball does more.
Right.
Now you're using the extra plastic around the seam.
Right.
There is extra lacquer also. So this means that the ball will swing and seam more, that just means added trouble for the batsman,
right,
and more swing and seam for the bowlers.
Right. Right. And also, as we talk about Kookaburra, how can we miss Australia's great record in day-night tests? They have played 8 and they have won all of them, right? And whereas England, they have played 4, lost 3 of them. Their last 3 of them, of course, the last one came against India, but I mean, they have a massive record, right? Australia in day-night tests.
Yeah, I mean, Australia has a dominating record, 8 out of 8. No other country has won all their day and night matches, Abhishek. Every other nation has lost at least 1 match with the pink ball.
Right.
Only Australia hasn't. Also, their record in Adelaide is 5 out of 5. 4 of these 5 wins has been dominating wins.
Right.
Only the first match, the first day and night against New Zealand in 215 went down to the wire. Australia ultimately won by 3 wickets. Hazlewood took 9 wickets in that match. Otherwise, other results, if I just can read out for the viewers: 7 wickets against South Africa, 120 runs against England, innings and 48 runs against Pakistan, and 8 wickets against India. How can we forget 36 all out,
right,
that famous or infamous match for India. So,
right,
Australia has a dominant record in day and night tests, and therefore they will start favourites.
But they'll miss a main man, Joe Hazlewood, who you can see on the screen. He has 28 wickets in just 5 tests in day-night affairs in the longest format. Of course, 5 of those wickets came against India the last time the two teams faced in Adelaide, and India were all out for just 36. But then they also have Australia have Mitchell Starc, who has 46 wickets in day-night games at an average of 18.86, and Pat Cummins, he has 26 wickets at 16.23. So, you know, despite the absence of Joe Hazlewood, do you still think Australia are a formidable fast bowling lineup?
I mean, they will miss Hazlewood for sure, especially given his record in day and night tests and day and night tests at the Adelaide Oval. He's also their Mr. Consistent. You know, he bowls at line and length like Glenn McGrath basically. His overall test record, 215 test wickets, an average of 25 is brilliant, Abhishek. Yes, he's not a Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins is by far the best test bowler in the world, but Hazlewood is right up there. Australia has a great replacement in, you know, this upcoming talent.
Jai Richardson.
Richardson, who's confirmed to replace Hazlewood now. Richardson has 90 first-class wickets in 21 matches, which is an excellent average and strike rate. But he hasn't played many test matches, only 2 test matches. So he doesn't have experience at this level, but do expect, you know, Jai Richardson, also he can hit the ball, extra pace. So do expect him to do well with the pink ball at Adelaide.
Well, you know, Australia will be missing Joe Hazlewood due to a side injury. There was another injury concern, a big injury concern of David Warner. He scored 94 in the first test, and he had a bruised rib injury in the first test. He batted in the first innings. He did not bat or field in the second innings. But Pat Cummins, he has confirmed today that he will be batting tomorrow, and he did his net practice, though he'll be playing through his pain. I mean, I quote Pat Cummins. He said today he'll be right. He had a bat yesterday and batted with a bit of discomfort. But knowing Devi, he is not going to miss this one. He'll be fine once the adrenaline kicks in. But do you think, Nikhil, you know, Australia taking a big chance? It's a longest format, right? It's not a T20 match where a batter plays how much, like 7 to 8 overs. Here, I mean, David Warner being an opener, he has to bat throughout the day maybe.
I think why they are taking a chance with Warner is because it is Warner. And Warner has a great record in Adelaide, Abhishek. You know, 1,045 runs, average of 80. Average of 80 at Adelaide, 8 tests, 400s. 400s in 8 tests, including the 335 unbeaten against Pakistan in 2019. So that is a phenomenal record in Adelaide. Also, the other opener is Marcus Harris, right? He's not in great form. So if they get
there, you can see the graphics
and you can see the numbers.
I mean, 80 and in Adelaide, right? I mean, those are massive numbers, right?
And I mean, if Marcus Harris is also not in good form and there's no Warner, they get another inexperienced opener or someone who doesn't have the runs, then Australia has a, you know, unstable opening pair, and they don't want that. So they think a 70% Warner is, you know, more than capable and better than an inexperienced Australian or an Australian out of form.
And in Adelaide, you know, David Warner's record is massive. I mean, he has scored a triple century here, I think, and he has got some brilliant centuries also. But if we talk about the other team, England, you know, they are in a bit of mess, right? I mean, while we'll talk about their bowlers, you know, it's a big news that Stuart Broad and James Anderson, they'll be back. Most probably they'll be replacing Jack Leach and Chris Vokes. I think, Nikhil, I mean, their main concern should be their batting lineup, right? I mean, in the last, in the first test, in the first innings, 7 of their 7 England batters, they were either not out or, I mean, they scored single-digit scores. Like, how bad can that be, right?
Yeah, I mean, they have problems right at the top of the order, Abhishek. I mean, Rory Burns, Joe Root is backing him. I've seen what Joe Root has said, and he's going to play Rory Burns. But Rory Burns has failed in 7 of his last 12 innings, averages just 25. They have options like Johnny Bairstow, you know, there's Zach Crawley. I don't know why aren't they, you know, why are they persisting with Rory Burns? I think the main reason is his temperament. He has this, he attaches a price on his wicket, although he has a, you know, a very interesting technique, very open stance technique, which, you know, which is prone to being dismissed, bowled, LBW or caught in the slip cordon. But having said that, there's too much dependence on Joe Root in the middle order and Joss Butler. And if they don't fire, the England batting lineup crumbles.
I think the one reason that they are persisting with Rory Burns is, if you can see Joe Root, he is in the form of his life. This year he has scored 1,544 runs. He is the highest run getter. In England also, obviously, he is the highest run getter. In world also, I think he is the highest run getter.
Yeah.
But the second highest run getter is Rory Burns with 492 runs. I mean, see the difference. I mean, more than 1,000 runs, and no other England batter, mind you, no other England batter this year has tallied more than 360 runs. Okay, apart from these two batters. So, I think, and the reason, what I think, Nikhil, is they are not spending that much time in the middle. I mean, hardly they play more than 25 to 30 balls. In the second innings, in the first test, obviously England batters, they got their start. But there was hardly any. Again, Joe Root was the highest scorer with an 89, right? I mean, this over dependency, and I think this flailing batting, this will add added pressure on James Anderson and Stuart Broad. Of course, James Anderson, he was not played in the first test because to manage his workload. Stuart Broad also comes in. How big a factor will those two be?
Massive factor, given the experience of those two fast bowlers. They are the, James Anderson is the leading wicket taker for fast bowlers in Test history. Stuart Broad is at number 3. Collective, they have 1,100 wickets plus. Although both of them, Abhishek, don't have a good record in Australia, because it does not suit the fast tracks there, the bouncy tracks there don't suit their side of bowling, right? They are swing and seam bowlers. They have a strike rate in the 70s in Australia. Having said that, Anderson has picked 14 wickets in 4 day and night test matches. He has a good record with the pink ball. He will make the pink ball swing and seam, so he'll be very dangerous. Also, one thing I'm looking forward to with Broad coming back is that Broad has a brilliant record against left-handers, especially when he bowls round the wicket. He's in the 2019 Ashes in England, he dismissed David Warner 7 times in the series. Also, Australia has a lot of other left-handers. There is Marcus Harris, there's Travis Head, there is Alex Carey. So I think Broad to the Australian left-handers will be very interesting, something which the Australian management has spoken about. They are wary of Broad returning for the Adelaide Test.
Right, but Nikhil, I think of course, I mean, Broad and Anderson, nobody can question their ability, their pedigree, but history, I think it is against England, because I'll give you a stat, like no England team has recovered to win an Ashes in Australia after losing the first test since 1954-55. I mean, Australia are clear favourites, right? I mean,
clear favourites, although I think if any England team in the last 20 years, since the turn of the millennium, has a chance, it is this England team. On paper, they have the batting, they also have the bowling, they have match winners like Ben Stokes. Now they have the team. So if any team can do it, any England team can reverse that stat and create history, it is this England team. They have to win the Adelaide Test, otherwise, the series will be as good as over. Right,
but before we wrap up, Nikhil, my final question to you. Of course, I mean, who do you think has a better bowling lineup? Of course, Australia are missing Joe Hazlewood. Jai Richardson, he is a young fast bowler. He has played only 2 tests. He is a 25-year-old pacer. He has talent, but he is inexperienced. Who do you think among the 2 bowling lineups are stronger? Because in day-night test, mostly it's the bowlers who call the shots. Batting-wise, of course, Australia has Marnus Labuschagne. He's only one of the 2 batters who has scored 2 centuries in day-night test. So that was also, and going by the form that they displayed in the first test, Australian batters are in a better spot. But then England bowlers, with the return of James Anderson and Stuart Broad, they have more experience. But still, on paper and on the field also, from the outside, what do you think? Who are the stronger side and who might call the shots?
See, without Hazlewood, I think they're at par, both the bowling units. Australia has Nathan Lyon, the spinner, who has a good record even in day and night test. England, I think, won't spare a spinner. Jack Leach was punished in the first test in Brisbane. I don't think he's playing the second test. So I think Anderson will be a threat with swing seam with the pink ball. So I think Anderson, Broad, Ole Robinson versus Cummins, Stark, Jai Richardson. I think it's 50-50. I think because it's a day, if it was not a day and night test, I would have said advantage Australia on the hard track. Because it's a day and night test, pink ball, swing, it gets Anderson and Broad into play.
Right. So 50-50 says Nikhil will learn more about that, tomorrow when the match starts at 9:30 a.m. IST. We'll be covering that match. Do log into newslinelive.com for more news on Ashes and from news from around the world. Thank you and goodbye.